You are now tuned in to the Lineman Lounge, the world's thickest sports podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Evo.
¿Cómo están, bitches? This is the Lineman Lounge. I am Sleeveless Mike. The man to my right is Thick Evo, and we are back. It is a beautiful Sunday out in Ohio. My allergies are still fucking with me, but not nearly as bad, so you get to see my beautiful face this week. Evo, you look very different. Your room is drastically changing. There are things that you are working on, that we are working on together as well, that might see some interesting changes here in the near future for the show. But I am absolutely fucking pumped to be here, brother. How you doing? How's the weekend going?
I'm doing good, man. Having a good weekend so far. It is drastically different in here. I mean, it's the same room and everything. I am just tearing it all down and building it back up because we're going to be working on a little bit of a video game streaming setup. I currently have 3 PCs in this fucking room right now, if we count the laptop. So that is why I look a little bit different, because I'm operating off of my laptop, because neither of my actual desktops are fully 100% functional, operational, at least for the show as of right now. But yeah, changes happening with that. Going to be doing a little bit of video game streaming, getting on with our boy $20 is $20, who is back stateside. It is great to have him back stateside, and got to see him yesterday, and he gave me a quick smooch. So
also hopping in on our show right there. What's up, 20? Thanks for hopping in, man. Glad you're home, by the way.
And been having a good weekend so far. It feels like a Saturday to me right now, because it's a long weekend, because we got the holiday tomorrow, so got that off of work. Yesterday went up to Tucson and saw comedian Chris D'Elia. That was fucking awesome. Nice. Great to see my actual first in-person comedy show that I've been to, so it was great. And we got Joe Rockstar saying, "Let's go Stallions." Hernstrom and I are going to the USFL South playoffs.
USFL, all right.
You're getting football this time of year. That's fucking cool.
Absolutely. Awesome. And so I have not got on the USFL train. I was more on the XFL train. I might have to take a look at the USFL, but I like the XFL. DC Defenders for me. So, but awesome. I can't believe there's still fucking football going on. We're going to have football all year round now, as long as the USFL and the XFL continue to make things happen.
Yeah, once those leagues get a little bit more solidified, not that they're not solid right now, it's just they aren't consistently found on TV. They're not, you don't know names of players and stuff as easy. And yeah, that kind of switches like with college football, like you don't get the same players every year, but there is some consistency in general with college. With the USFL and XFL, we don't know what sort of consistency there's really going to be from year to year. So that makes it a little bit difficult to really follow a team unless it is just your city that you're following. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes going forward, and if there are some teams that we can really kind of get invested in, and maybe some players to get invested in.
I certainly hope so, man, because I would love to see the USFL and the XFL start to be feeder leagues for the NFL instead of just going the college route. I know there's a couple guys that used to be Canadian football players. Like for me, Andrew Hawkins is who comes to mind, receiver who played in the Canadian Football League and then was able to be picked up by the Bengals and then eventually came over to the Browns. So that was fucking awesome for them. But you don't have that too much anymore. But if we get the XFL and the USFL continuing to build their brands, put on some displays of good football, good coaching, then guys will be able to make that jump from one of those lesser tier leagues up to the big boy leagues in the NFL.
And Joe just said here, if we could get a XFL USFL merger, that'd be awesome. I would agree. I think that's like, I mean, before the NFL was what it was, we had 2 separate leagues, and they ended up merging them together because it made sense. Same thing with XFL and USFL. If that was your NFC and AFC, their XFL and USFL, that would be really fucking cool. Now they've obviously got some rule differences and everything, but that can all be figured out.
Yep. And you know who would absolutely be able to make that merger, that brokerage happen? Saudi Arabia.
Johnson? Oh.
Saudi Arabia.
All right. So the Live Football Tour.
That's right, baby. All right, so let's get this fucking show started. Guys, gentlemen, if you are joining us today and you are a father, I want to say thank you very much. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, to my dad as well. Love you. Appreciate you guys. Stepdads, everybody out there. Appreciate everything that you do. We don't necessarily get all the love sometimes, but I want you to know I appreciate everything that you guys do to make your kids, boys, girls, better. So happy Father's Day to everybody out there.
Yes, happy motherfuckers day to all you out there.
That's right. So let's start diving into some sports. We're going to start with youth sports. Our baseball team, we are on the upswing right now. We are currently 2 games over 500. We are the second place team in the league at the moment. So we have got 3 games coming up over the next week. We had a rain out this week, so we have got a lot of baseball. If we can come out of this with 3 wins this week, we're going to be in a really, really good spot. Playoff position wise, I don't think anybody is catching the top in the league. They have yet to lose a game. They are, let's say, 7 or 8-0 at this point. We are 5-3. So that's going to be tough to catch them. But if we can get into that number 2 seed going in the playoff time, we won't have to worry about that number 1 seed until we get to the championship game. That is my intent. That is my hope. That way we can try to position ourselves, give us the best opportunity to win a championship. I mean, I understand that we're still playing youth sports. This is still about fundamentals, learning. But when you get to the age group where we're at, 11, 12, it's also about starting to win. And that's what we're going for, man. So I'm pumped for the next week. We got a lot of baseball to play this week. So we'll see how we come out on the other side.
So that number 1 team that's undefeated, I'm assuming you've played them already.
We have played them twice. The first time that we played them was very tough. Because it was the second game of our doubleheader on opening day. They beat the absolute brakes off of us. They beat us 20-4. We got our dick hole smashed in. It was not fun. The second time we played them much tighter. Wasn't until the late couple innings where they really kind of pulled away. We ended up losing that game. I want to say 8-3. So that game was much closer all the way up until the end there. We got to figure out a way to beat that team, but we have played them twice. We will not see them again until playoff time.
I was going to say, does the team feel gettable? Do you feel like you can get a win there?
I think that we can get a win. I learned some things from that first game. It definitely learned some things from that second game on where we're going to have to position some players, position-wise, kids who will be in the outfield, kids who will be in the infield. So I think that we can get them. I'm gonna need really good pitching though. If we show up and we can't pitch that day, that's it. A lot of our league is hinged on pitching, and that's not the only thing. Like we can pitch well and not play any fucking defense, which is what happened in our last game for the first couple innings, and we could almost lose. But if we pitch, we're going to be just fine. If we don't, it's going to be a scramble. A team that good, if we don't pitch, we're going to be fighting an uphill battle the entire time.
All right.
So.
All right. Anything else youth sports wise? You got any updates from Aubrey and T-ball or anything like that?
No, I mean, she's still crushing in T-ball, enjoys it. They have to make her stand in one spot. So she, like, if the ball gets past her, she will just absolutely go hawk it down. Does not care where the ball goes. And she's quick enough to get there. So they're like, hey, if it gets past you, stop. Just hitting the ball well. But T-ball, we still got a lot of things to learn, a lot of time left in the season. I think they've had like 3 or 4 games left still. So, but she's enjoying it. What about youth sports out in your neck of the woods out there in Arizona?
No real updates on my end, man. I'm sure they're happening, but it's getting so hot, I don't even want to be outside.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
So 95 with the breeze, so it feels like that blow dryer in your face.
Yeah, that's not fun. That's the one thing I do not miss about Arizona is the fucking heat. However, I don't necessarily love all of the pollen and shit that is happening out here in Ohio right now. My allergies have been kicking my dick in for couple weeks. Last week I had to wear sunglasses because it looked like I had been bawling my eyes out for multiple days, which essentially I had been. But it is what it is. I will take 75. I think that's what we're at today. 71 right now at 1:20 in the afternoon. So it is fucking beautiful out there. But the pollen can fuck right off.
Absolutely. Hey, we still got the allergens out here.
Yeah, a little bit. There's some allergens out there. I mean, I remember parking underneath certain trees and walking out and be like, "Oh, that thing is covered in green shit, and that's all pollen."
Well, I just did allergy tests recently, and apparently I'm allergic to like fucking everything out here.
Of course you are.
I thought I might have a food allergy or something like that because there's certain things that hurt my mouth when I eat it. It could just be that I don't give a fuck if something's hot and I just put it in my mouth
Right.
and I'm going to burn myself. But yeah, I went and got allergy tests done. Thanks, VA. And apparently it's like dogs, cats, horses, cockroaches, fucking every type of tree and bush out here. Apparently I'm just like super allergic to, and I've just been dealing with it. So your boy's built different.
Yeah. Now, one thing that has happened with the allergies is so we moved my sister in, and she did bring a cat. He's probably running around here somewhere. Um, since then, I have also had the problems with the allergies. I don't know if it's outside or if it's the cat. I haven't really gone and get checked and tested. I probably won't. I'll just fucking man up and deal with it, and just eat allergy medicine like it's goddamn Skittles. So,
All right. Well, hey, I just got an air filtration system for at least the bedroom. So if that starts to work out, that might be something worth investing in.
okay, let me know. Let me know for sure. But yeah, man, I got nothing else youth sports wise. Let's start diving into the world of professional sports. So we're gonna talk baseball real quick because there's not a ton to talk about baseball wise. Um, our teams are still not great. Yours is better than mine, but the Guardians are still in just it feels like injury purgatory. They cannot fucking get everybody healthy. There has been some moves that have been made, but we're still gonna struggle to get consistent pitching. We just lost one of our best guys. Tristan McKenzie sticks goes down again with some elbow discomfort. I think he's still getting some testing done, but he is on the 10-day IL. Last show, I don't know if you remember, producer Amber brought up Mike Zunino, who is the catcher for the Guardians. He is no longer the catcher for the Guardians. He has been DFA'd. It was only a matter of time. I think the writing was on the wall there. They have called up our young, promising catcher, Bo Naylor. His older brother, Josh Naylor, also plays for the Guardians, plays first base and DH. So we got two brothers on the team. I'm very excited for Bo to be up at the big leagues with us. But if we can't keep consistent pitching, we're going to struggle. And it makes it less likely with guys like a Tristan McKenzie going down that we're going to trade a Shane Bieber to go ahead and try to bring in another bat, because that's what we really, really need is we need some power fucking injected into this lineup, and we're just not getting it. And our really good asset that we could use to flip to go get a bat, we absolutely can't flip him if we don't have five guys that we can go out there and throw in a rotation. With Tristan McKenzie going down again, I don't know that they can afford to trade Bieber unless they decide, listen, we're going to punt on the season. We're going to keep playing baseball. We're going to get young guys some at bats. But if that is the case, we should see a ton of moves out of the Guardians. Bieber gone. Zanino's already been DFA'd. We can see Ahmed Rosario, be traded as well. We'll see a lot of younger guys start getting a lot of at bats. It worked for us last year, but it doesn't feel like we're going to have that miracle Guardians team, that young team that just comes up and surprises everybody out of nowhere like we had last year, unless we make a move. But I don't know if we can with the injuries that we got to the pitching staff.
Yeah, and I don't think the Twins are in the position to make a lot of moves either. Our pitching this year has been significantly better, at least statistically, but we're still just not getting bats on balls like you would hope for. I saw a stat. I think that they're one of the most strikeout heavy teams as far as hitting in all of the majors. Somehow, still in power rankings, they've got us ranked right around number 10, despite having a near 500 record, which will do it in the AL Central apparently, but
Yeah.
it's not like we have some sort of a commanding lead there in the Central. And it doesn't help that, your big time bats like Byron Buxton, he is also injured, rib contusion that he's kind of waiting out. I think he's supposed to be coming back real soon, if not already. And then Carlos Correa is kind of starting to pick it up again recently. He's had, I believe, like 3 home runs over the past couple games, which is great, but we just need more offensive production. We need more balls in the field rather than just these strikeouts.
Need more consistent contact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the AL Central, man. I mean, we're both living it right now. It is It's I don't know.
Yeah,
Not the best of baseball. We'll just say that.
not the best of baseball is an understatement when we're talking about the AL Central. But so one last thing, and this we didn't talk about this, pre-show when we were doing our little meeting coming up with what we were going to talk about. But something that I did see popping up all over Twitter. I don't know if you saw this. Dodgers game a couple nights ago. Uh, Outfield is in because there is a runner on third base. There are no outs, and there is the winning run on third base. Infield is in as well. Deep fly ball gets hit. Outfielders don't fucking move. They just decide, you know what? That's it. We're going to run in. Apparently, there were a lot of people on Twitter and social media in general that had a problem with that. And it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, when you have a deep fly ball and there are less than 2 outs and there's a guy on third, he's the winning run, the game is over. You had better have a absolute fucking howitzer like Vlad Guerrero Sr., one of those like Yoenis Cespedes type arms that can absolutely throw it on a frozen fucking rope for 350 feet. And even then, you still might not get it.
Yeah.
So I don't understand the vitriol behind, oh, he didn't try. These overplayed players, they just gave up. The game was fucking over.
They're also professionals. They know their limitations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They know. So if you were one of those people on Twitter, shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. The game was over. As soon as that fly ball was hit, that was it. That was it.
Yeah.
So, all right, we'll get off of baseball. Let's talk about some sports that are currently happening right now. I was shocked.
Just baseball?
Not just baseball. Because we got some golf too. We are in fucking the dog days of summer when it comes to sports. The NBA is over. We're still a ways away from NFL starting back up. Like, we have got a long time before we get meaningful sports going on again, with the exception of golf. We got some majors going on. We have one major going on right now, the U.S. Open, and Ricky Fowler comes out in the first round, shoots a fucking U.S. Open record, was it 62, and he wasn't even in the lead by himself after day one. 2 guys tie the record, or I guess 2 guys simultaneously break the record to shoot a 62 in the U.S. Open, and it's a lot of good fucking golf going on right now. You don't typically talk about, like, I love Ricky Fowler. I love the way he dresses. I like his demeanor, like the swag that he goes around with, but he's not the greatest golfer in the world. He's a PGA Tour golfer for sure, but he's not a guy you're like, oh yeah, Ricky's got a chance to win this week. Well, I hope he fucking wins.
When he was one of the young guys, rookie coming in, like, there was a lot of excitement around him because he seemed like he could be the next big thing. The play that he had, the type of obviously personality and things that you get to see from him on the field with his attire and all that. There was a lot of excitement around him, and then since then it's kind of been a lot more tepid because he just hasn't really won much. But yeah, goes out and shoots a 62 in the first round. Him and Xander Schauffele both are able to do that. And currently, Ricky Fowler is tied for first at 10 under right now. So he's got a chance to go out there and win himself a major.
Yeah, which is awesome. I cannot believe that we're talking about Ricky Fowler being in this position on this day to go out and win a major, but it's not going to be easy because there are some fucking dudes up there at the top of this leaderboard. You got Rory in third place, 1 back at 9 under. Scotty Scheffler, the best in the world right now, 7 under, easily doable. Dustin Johnson, if anybody makes a slip up, he can go up there. He can capitalize as well. I think Bryson is probably a little too far out at -3, but I mean, there's some dudes at the top that can go up there and absolutely put together a fucking spectacular round and compete here on Sunday.
Yeah, that's the guys that are really in contention there kind of end with the Scotty Scheffler at 7 under. Yes, Dustin Johnson at 5 under realistically could make a play.
That's the limit.
But you would also be looking at both Wyndham Clark and Ricky Fowler kind of having an implosion, which is something that Ricky and even to an extent Rory McIlroy, they've both kind of been known for, where they will have these good rounds leading up to the fourth round, the final day, and then they'll kind of flub and either just won't make any moves and let other people catch up and pass them, or they will make, a couple extra bogeys here and there and kind of drop themselves out of that contention. So it's possible that you could see someone like a Dustin Johnson or a Xander Schauffele at 5 under make that move, but realistically, being 5 strokes back at this point is pretty tough for a professional golfer to overcome in one round.
Yeah, you need some guys to make some slip ups up there at the top for sure. But I mean, like you said, Ricky and Rory are two guys that are known to not necessarily have that clutch gene on Sunday.
They're just not finishers with it.
Yeah, they don't finish like it, and you'll see probably the last 5 holes. Somebody's going to make a massive mistake, and it's going to unravel the rest of the last 5-6 holes of their round. We see it every major. Now, we've seen it with some guys that maybe we don't expect to be up there, but we have seen that happen from a Rory, from a Ricky, from a Bryson DeChambeau. Like there's some dudes that have won some big time tournaments that happens to. So I'm interested to see how it all shakes out, but I'm rooting for Ricky just because I never expected Ricky to get to that point where he was competing to go win a major and being in the lead going into Sunday.
Yeah. And it has, that fourth round has started. The early groups are already out there. We won't be seeing that main group with Wyndham Clark and Ricky Fowler until around 2:30. So if you're wanting to watch that premier group and you've got the ability to watch it, you've got a little bit of time, at least 2:30 my time.
Yeah. So the tee times are asinine. That is something that has been coming up throughout this tournament is why the fuck are they teeing off at 5:30 p.m. On a Sunday? Like, I understand where they're playing. They're going to have the light, but then you start getting to the twilight hours. Like, it feels like it's entirely too late to start a round of golf. Now, these guys are quick. They're PGA Tour golfers, but 5:30 seems fucking late, right?
Yeah, compared to normal. I mean, usually you're starting pretty early in the morning, but
like the leaders are teeing off at like 1:30, 2 o'clock, not fucking dinner time.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. But go Ricky. We'll see what happens. You got anything else golf-wise that you'd like to talk about?
No, not really, man. I mean, we're still just kind of waiting to see how the whole Live Golf PGA DP Tour merger works out.
Yeah, so there are some more things that are coming out. I have not necessarily looked into all of them yet. I might be having a conversation here in the near future with somebody who used to work for the PGA Tour, did all their social media. So I'm going to try to get as much information as I can and bring over here as well. But that story is ever progressing, and it will not stop until probably after next year when this whole partnership actually goes into effect.
Yeah, we'll see. It's not going to be overnight. We kind of knew that.
Yeah.
I mean, they still have the antitrust lawsuits against each other out there that have to be dismissed or remedied before things can really move forward.
I would imagine that all of that gets tossed into the trash. Like, okay, we'll rescind our fucking complaint and we'll drop the lawsuit against you guys. Okay, cool. We'll do the same. Let's make shitloads of money together. Yeah. All right. So we're going to make a transition and we're going to talk about probably the biggest stories that have happened over the last week of sports. But that's going to come from the NBA. It's not the NFL. First thing I want to talk about is the Nuggets. The Nuggets get it done, man. They finally go out. They win their first championship. They have a parade. Not a ton of people show up, but they do have a parade. Their guy, Jokic, is very excited while he's at the parade, but this is a man that did not want to do the parade, did not want to be fucking here in America anymore. He wanted to get home to Serbia and go relax. A guy who was asked during his post-game press conference, how does it feel? He's like, I mean, yeah, it's okay. We did it. We won. It's fine. It's, not everybody loves their job. It looks like Jokic doesn't love being a basketball player. He does it because he's incredibly fucking good at it. 2-time MVP and now an NBA champion. But does he love basketball? Why is there so much like, I don't give a fuck. I'm here to make money. I don't care if we win or lose. I'm going to go out there and get buckets anytime I want, but fuck a parade, fuck all this other shit. I don't care.
Like we were kind of talking before the show. I don't know. It almost seems like a little bit of a nihilistic Eastern European sort of viewpoint of just whatever. I play basketball. I earn good money. Fuck it. Go back home and drink the vodka. I don't know. Like, he doesn't seem to be that excited about it, which everyone is allowed to be excited in their own way, I suppose. For him, he wants to go home and see his family, which I get. I get being like, hey,
100%.
I've been out here, in a different country for months and months and months and working hard and working my ass off. I'm getting paid regardless. Let me go home to see my family. I get that part. So maybe, it's just like, hey, this is the longest that I've had to play an entire season. Normally we're not here. So I'm ready to be done. And I get that. But it is probably just more of a cultural difference type thing. Maybe, I don't know if it's that he dislikes basketball. I'm sure he likes it to an extent because he's making good money from it. But
Right.
yeah, it seems a little bit different compared to some of the other guys that have a lot more outward emotional motivations.
Yeah. You remember seeing guys like Jordan in the locker room, laying on the basketball, crying his eyes out. He's done it. He's won a championship. And the champagne spraying. You see the video footage of Jokic, and he's just like, let me crack this beer and drink my 99 calorie beverage, and yay, we won. It feels so awkward to me. I almost respect it a little bit more because he's just like, listen, I don't even necessarily love this, and I'm fucking better than every single one of you. I am the best player in the league right now. He should have won the MVP, in my opinion.
Yeah,
And he
probably.
won an NBA championship. Like, he's just like, you know what? I'm fucking better than you guys. Like, this is at Globo Gym, we're better than you, and we know it. Like, he does not give a fuck. He just wants to go out there, get his buckets, get his assists, his rebounds, call it a day, go cash it in for the night, and be like, all right, fucking see you guys tomorrow. I'm clocking in, clocking out. It's a workman-like attitude, but it's so like nonchalant and blasé that it's off-putting, but also so fucking respectable. It gives me weird feelings about the way he went about it. He did, however, seem to enjoy the parade while it was happening.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
I'll give him that.
Yep. But hey, it's over now. He can go home.
Yes, he
And
can.
maybe
He probably
just
already
those
is home. I
emotions
would
there.
imagine he's already back in Serbia.
Yeah.
But so we had this comment come in. So Bradley Beal to Miami or the Suns. If you guys are not big basketball people, there's a good chance Bradley Beal is going to get traded, moved somewhere.
Yeah,
I think he should go to
from the
Miami.
Wizards. Yeah, and that's where I think a lot of people are kind of pointing the finger is Miami because Miami made it so far that they're going to be looking at how can we upgrade this team right now as if they were still playing in the playoffs. The I guess proposed trade deals is Heat sending Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, and some first round picks to Washington for Beal, or possibly switching out Victor Oladipo with Robinson. That could happen.
Every single one. It doesn't matter what the deal is to me. If you add Bradley Beal to a decent part of that core that you got there, I love that. Bam Adebayo, fucking Hemi buckets, and Bradley Beal. I think that's fantastic. I think that's a team that can go and continue to compete for championships. And there's an outside chance they're going to go make a run at Dame Lillard too. If they can find a way to go get Dame Lillard as well, that is a super team. That is an absolute insane super team that should be competing for as long as they're together to win the fucking title.
Yeah, and it's not like Miami hasn't done it before.
Exactly. They're not the originators of the super team. That's just the one that got blown up.
Yeah.
Because LeBron went there and everybody fucking hates LeBron. But that was not the first super team. The first super team was the goddamn Celtics with the fucking Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, and Paul Pierce. That was the first super team. So stop blaming LeBron for that. That was done in goddamn Boston. But we're going to stick in the NBA, though, because there is some other big-time fucking news that came out of the NBA this week. I have talked about this on some of the TikTok content that gets put out for the show. But Ja Morant, the decision has been made. Ja Morant will be suspended for the first 25 games of the season. And this is a very interesting subject. It's a touchy subject on a lot of sides because of what is happening in the country and around the story. And we got more and more comments coming in. Thank you, OG Banana G Squirt, for hopping in here today. Love the name, by the way. Yeah, Celtics did go crazy. And yes, they also did have fucking prime Rajon Rondo on that squad as well. That was a super team. They were the first ones. Stop blaming LeBron. But so Ja Morant, listen, this is a very interesting thing. Gun violence in America is a real thing, right? How do we solve that? Nobody fucking knows. If we knew how to do that, I think hopefully we would have done that. We would have fixed that, right? But we have instances like this popping up. Ja Morant is seen in a club in Denver with a gun. He is intoxicated. Apparently flashes gun. No criminal charges are pressed. Everything works out, but it's still suspended by the NBA during this last season for 8 games. They have a conversation, him and Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA. They say, hey, we can't have this. You cannot do this anymore. Apparently, Ja Morant is very contrite and says, I understand. I will not be in this kind of trouble again. You will not see this happen again. And then you get fucking, 8 weeks later, Ja Morant is on IG Live again in his own car, on his own property, and is flashing a weapon.
Maybe.
It's just a fucking weird. This is a tough thing to figure out because there are so many sides of this. You have people on the right, Second Amendment. He is allowed to have a weapon, and you know what? For me, I agree. Ja Morant is allowed to own a weapon and carry that motherfucker wherever he wants as long as he has the proper paperwork. He can flash that bitch on IG Live if he wants. It is not against the law. You have on the other side, though, the NBA is a privately owned business company entity. It is owned by an owner, a $1 billion owner. It is managed and operated by a multi-million-dollar commissioner, Adam Silver. You tell the commissioner this will not happen again. The NBA puts in place and they say that this cannot and will not happen again. Because they are a privately owned entity, are allowed to set precedents and say what you are and are not allowed to do on and off the clock to be an employee here. Do we like that? Most times, no. But is that within their legal right to do so? Yes. So you have the NBA saying, we can suspend him if we want. We can fucking say it was contract detrimental to the league. There ain't shit he can do about it. And they are within their legal rights to do that. Ja Morant is within his legal rights to carry and flash a fucking weapon, especially if he's on his own property. I don't know if there's a right answer, but it's going to end in a 25-game suspension. I don't know if this is going to help the NBA. It's definitely not helping Ja Morant in his case. I want to know kind of where you like. I'm somewhere stuck in the middle because I support the individual person's rights to exercise their constitutional rights. But I also understand that as a business, you are allowed to operate your business in any capacity. So where are you standing on this in this whole Ja Morant thing?
I think it's all kind of silly. I'm with you. I am an advocate of the Second Amendment, and not to make this a whole political show, but like gun violence, yes, is a problem, but it's only more recently become a problem. If you look at the United States and you were to take out, I believe, the top 3 cities with most gun violence, the U.S. goes from being like number 2 or 3 in the entire world in gun violence down to like 158. And those cities are the ones that have the heaviest gun regulations. Chicago, LA.
Chicago's your LA's and your New York.
St. Louis, I believe.
Was it St. Louis?
Either way, it's gun violence is an issue, but we aren't attacking it the right way. This feels like, hey, guns are bad. Let's sweep it under the rug so that way it's not seen. that it's a part of our league because this player has a firearm. I guarantee over half of the players in the NBA have firearms, if not pretty much all of them, for protection because they're
Yes.
famous. They have a lot of money, things like that. Just because one of them happens to flaunt it a little bit more isn't detrimental to the league, in my opinion. What's detrimental to the league is not having one of your superstars out there. Maybe don't do anything to silence him or anything like that. Maybe don't take his pay away. Maybe give him an opportunity to be like, hey, this is a part of my culture. It's for my personal protection. It's for my safety. It was not even a real gun in that Instagram video. Maybe because that's what his team is kind of pushing. It doesn't really matter to me. Being on Instagram Live with a gun doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't signal anything to me that there's something wrong with John Morant. Doesn't signal anything with the NBA to me personally. It's just someone on their social media portraying themselves however they want to be portrayed, and I could really care less. And it's not to me. Kids aren't going to go and see, oh, John Morant's doing this and that any more than they're going to watch any YouTube, any music video, things like that. There, you can go and pick up video games, which kids are playing Fortnite with guns.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense to me that it's that big of an issue. 25 games, really not a big deal. Yes, 25 games without pay. That sucks for John Morant. And
It's a lot of fucking money he's losing. That's a
in a
shitload
sense,
of money.
Sure. But in a sense, yeah, and it's probably hurting his opportunity for sponsorships and things like that outside of basketball to supplement that income. And it should be a lesson to him to like, hey, just kind of keep this private. But also it's his personal right not to. The fact that his job's going after
Uh-oh.
me because it's different if John Morant is being like, hey, the Grizzlies, or whoever, we support gun violence, and
Yeah.
the NBA supports, shooting people. But he's not connecting the
Didn't
two.
make any threats. This is not like the Damon Arnett situation where he's on IG Live with a weapon and where he's threatening physical violence against somebody else.
Yeah.
Like that is something that happened in the NFL. Damon Arnett was rightfully cut, and then at some point, I believe he was just arrested. So that makes sense. But the John Morant thing, you're absolutely right. He has the legal right to carry a weapon and show it kind of whenever, however he wants, as long as it's not in a menacing fashion, right? If you're creating what appears to be a threat, then that is a problem, and you cannot do that, right? Yeah, it's so
throw the dummy.
yeah, throw up the dummy conjecture here. Yeah, we're not professionals. I'm not a lawyer either, but at the same time, you work for a government entity, right? I have worked for government entities in the past. If they tell you that you are not allowed to post a certain type of content on your social media, you cannot do that, and it is a fireable offense. Yes or no?
Absolutely correct. The difference, though, is that they can't tell you to not post something on social media that is constitutionally protected. So I can't go on as a government employee currently. I can't go on and make threats, hate, things like that. That can come back and get me. That sort of shit, not cool, and my job can come at me for it. If I go right now as a government employee and post pictures of me with a firearm or shooting at a range or something like that, it is constitutionally protected. They can't do anything. Now, if I was shooting targets of like, I don't know, only Chinese people or something like that because of the COVID situation or something, then it's racially tied. Then that's different. Then I am possibly showing some sort of a threat towards people or some sort of discrimination. But that's not what's happening here. For all we know, he's holding an unloaded firearm without a firing pin that is completely inactive. It could be fake. Who knows? Where do we draw the line? He could hold a squirt gun and someone could be like, that is promoting gun violence. Where's the line going to be? The line should be constitutionally protected or not, and it's not a matter of him being able to play basketball or not. To me, this is kind of that woke situation where people are getting into people's lives where it's unnecessary. It doesn't actually factor into probably 95% of the people in the US right now. They could care less what he does on his Instagram live. Like myself, I really don't care what a NBA player does in their free time in their social life, unless it is something that is an abomination, that is discriminatory, things like that. Don't really care. And it doesn't make me think any more or less of basketball. If anything, this whole situation makes me think less of basketball, them getting all up in arms about it, because who gives a fuck?
I'm kind of in the same vein, man. I think Ja is kind of getting a raw deal here, but I also understand that the teams in the league are within their legal rights, but they're only within their legal rights because you said it's federally protected to have a weapon, right? However, what is not, all of that's going to get thrown out of the window with their collective bargaining agreement, because that sets the precedent for what is happening in all of these leagues that we're talking about. Are we going to start to see things come up in collective bargaining agreements where there are going to be stricter regulations on what is and is not allowed inside of your social media profile as a player in any fucking league? Because if they toss that in the CBA, it's not really going to fucking matter. That's going to trump. And I know people are going to be like, no, it's the Constitution. It's different when you start to get into some of the legalities of what is happening with how the NBA, the NFL, basically everybody operates.
Yeah, it once it's in the CBA, the players will basically, once they have signed a contract as being part of that
They've
players
waived.
association, they are agreeing to whatever's in there. It is their
Exactly.
choice to not do that. They won't be playing professional basketball, but that's the choice that they're having to make.
Yeah. So I can see that becoming a bigger thing that comes up in CBA negotiation. I was going to call them arguments because that's what they almost always turn into. It's just an argument played out on social media. But that is something that I think that we may start to see more and more of, as this is conduct that you cannot post on your social media. We want you to post a lot of shit. We want you to promote the fucking league, promote the brand, promote yourself, but you must do it within these specific parameters. Now, I don't know if there's anything currently in the CBA that there's any written verbiage about firearms, other than the fact that you're not allowed to bring one into the facility, which makes 100% sense. But I don't think that there's anything else. So can Ja maybe go back and file an arbitration claim saying that I was screwed out of this money? I think that's a possibility too. I don't think the story's done with. It's not going to, I don't think we're going to get 25 games. He comes back in the league and then we never talk about this again. This is not something that's going away, in my opinion.
I mean, where I'm from, if I'm his team, I would keep on pushing the whole, how do you know it was a real firearm? Because who can say it is? I mean, I could have a 3D rendered image of a gun and someone could be like, oh, that's a real thing, and it's not. Who knows? And like I said, where do we draw the line? Like, we've got professional sports players, for instance, Sauce Gardner. He streams video games. He streams on Call of Duty every now and then. If he streams himself on Call of Duty, which his character is holding a gun, is that okay? Is that wrong? We know it's not real, but maybe someone who's an idiot perceives it otherwise. Like, I don't know. I don't know where we draw the line. And if I was his team, I'd be like, okay, NBA, if you want to take 25 games away from us, it is on you to prove that he was holding the gun.
Yeah, but I don't know if they have to do that though because of the CBA.
Yeah, that's the arbitration part of it. Is that how can they set this precedent, set this rule when you cannot prove exactly what happened?
Right, and that's why I don't think the story is going away. I would imagine that we're going to continue to hear about Ja. Now, maybe Ja just says, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to serve my 25 games. I'm going to lose my money, but we'll just move on. But I don't know if that's going to be the case. I think based on the fact that he had a conversation with the commissioner, said that this is not going to happen again, and then very shortly after it happens again, tells me that Ja's like, this is bullshit. Like, and honestly, I kind of don't blame him, because if it's not fucking written anywhere, we're just making up rules arbitrarily. I don't have to follow those fucking rules. I signed an agreement. I signed a contract, and I have a CBA. So it's so fucked up and awkward how this is all going to work out. But anything conduct detrimental, and that term is so goddamn broad in these CBAs that what do? I don't know if there's anything you can do. So
Yeah.
we had this comment come in. So you got to look at the fan base that Ja holds. Lots of kids see him as someone to look up to. And I don't disagree with that. But I also don't know that now if you're going to point a gun at a screen and act certain ways, that I don't know if that's a good thing. It's probably not a good thing. We don't necessarily want to portray that image to kids. But to be like, you can't have a gun, you can't show a gun at all. I don't know if that's the message that we want to send to kids either, because they do have their Second Amendment right. Now, they obviously children are not allowed to possess firearms, as they fucking shouldn't. We should make sure with everything that we can that is never changes, that doesn't happen. But they're gonna grow up and they're gonna be able to own guns. They should be able to learn about guns. They should learn fucking gun safety, because that shit's important. So nothing bad happens when you have a weapon.
They used to teach firearm shooting in school back in like the 70s and stuff like that. I know. Like
back when motherfuckers would roll up with a fucking rifle hanging up from the back window of their pickup truck.
Yeah. And go hunting later.
Yeah.
It's a different time, of course. And as we progress more through time, obviously firearms are becoming an issue. I'm not trying to say that they aren't. But I think that we also are putting the responsibility of some of these issues in the wrong place. Maybe if we're worried about kids not seeing that sort of stuff, as a parent, you should not be allowing them to see that stuff.
Yeah. You lock down the phone.
You don't get angry at a porn star because your kid saw porn. You get angry at the parent for letting them have access to it.
Exactly. Thank you. That is an excellent fucking analogy. And I think it's one that everybody would understand, because that is something that's so simple. We start talking about guns, right? I imagine that if we post a clip of this, there's going to be some fucking comments that people are going to be one way, and there are going to be people who are going to be on the complete opposite side of this fucking thing. As soon as you talk about guns, it becomes a very hot button issue. But if you explain it that way, like, listen, you don't want your kids to watch porn, make sure they don't fucking see it. That's on the parent. It's not on the porn star. It's not for the fucking kids. Like, that makes 100% sense to me.
If your kid is young enough to be as impressionable as that, to take what a NBA player is doing and decide to think that this NBA player in particular is someone that they should look up to, if they're going to do that sort of stuff, you should be, as a parent, monitoring that sort of situation. I mean, again, we don't let our kids watch porn because they are too young for it. They shouldn't be seeing that stuff. We don't let them go out and smoke cigarettes because they're too young for it. If they're below the age of, I guess, 21 now, right? So there are rules in place to prevent this stuff, but if someone wants to do it, they'll find a way. And that isn't on the person. That isn't on the person selling the cigarettes. That isn't on the porn star. That isn't on Ja Morant for having a gun. It is on the parents if we're thinking that our kids are that impressionable, and for not raising them in a way to understand that the social media stuff is essentially fictional.
Yeah, it is. So I'm going to toss this comment up here. It's going to be a little hot. It's going to be a little charged. Okay. Not that this can be a racial thing, but think of someone like an Austin Reeves being in the situation. Would it be talked about in the same way that the media is portraying it now? And I'm going to say no, but I don't necessarily think that it has anything to do with race. It has everything to do with star power. Ja Morant is one of the biggest stars in the NBA. He has a much larger reach than an Austin Reeves. I don't even fucking know what team Austin Reeves plays for right now. It's all about the reach. Do I think that there are some people that may tie race to this? Yeah, I don't think that racism is gone from this country. Do I think that that is a motivating factor? No, I believe that it has everything to do with the star power that is generated by what Ja Morant is. Gatorade deal, fucking Nike deal, just goddamn signed, signature shoe coming out the very fucking week this happens. Like, that is so many eyeballs that I think that was the main factor.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, maybe we see Jokic go back to his home country and shoot a couple AKs in the
Now,
fucking air.
yeah.
We'll see what
Now,
happens.
okay,
Then.
so if Jokic goes back and we see him brandishing weapons and everybody's like, oh, look at this guy, he's great, then you know what? I will absolutely bring this back up and I would entertain the idea that it is a racially motivated thing, but I think it's a superstar thing. I think it is a eyeballs thing. What for the
Not to say
NBA,
that it's not a racial thing. It could
yes,
be, but
I
it's
believe
tough
that
to
the main
tough to
factor.
quantify that.
Yeah, I don't know how to quantify that, but I can tell you based on Ja's star power and how much revenue he generates from branding, I think it's a star power thing.
Yeah, very well
So.
could be.
All right. I have nothing else on the NBA. I'm done talking about Ja. Are we ready to move on?
Yeah, I believe so.
All right.
Austin Reeves plays for the Lakers, by the way.
Okay. I couldn't fucking remember where Austin Reeves played.
I didn't remember if I knew that he played for the Lakers, but I didn't know if he still played for the Lakers type thing. I wasn't sure.
Was he even in the I guess he was in the rotation a little bit there at the end, but yeah. But he's a fucking free agent though, I think. I don't care. I'm not going to fucking talk about it anymore. Let's move on to the NFL. There is not a lot of news going on in the NFL. D-Hop still not signed. However, Patriots look like they have a very good chance of signing him. Surprising, the fact that he's still kind of there, but he also has a contract offer already in place from the Titans from reports. What do you make of this, man?
I think that this is we are ending silly season, but we're still in silly season, man. I don't personally think the Patriots are a good fit for a lot of reasons. I don't think the Titans are a great fit for a lot of reasons. I think that D-Hop is going to just take his time, which is his right, to get wine, dined, and 69 by all these different teams. The Titans, they might be a better situation than the Patriots in some respects because they are in a rebuild mode, which maybe makes them a little bit more enticing of I could be part of this rebuild where we could become something good really quick. I don't really believe that personally. But apparently the pitch that they gave was phenomenal. They were taking around Nashville and stuff like that. Braves is a good coach.
Oh yeah.
I get all that. But it's not the best landing spot for a guy who's in his early 30s, possibly getting towards the twilight of his career. Possibly, we'll see. Who needs a quarterback that can throw on the ball effectively, consistently? I'm not really seeing a whole lot of that in Tennessee. Then you go up to New England, and that's a team that seems like their identity is tapioca pudding. They're just boring. They're going to be really fighting to get third place in their division. Mac Jones or, Bailey Zappi, the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both whatever kind of passers of the ball right now.
Yeah, they're bottom third of the league quarterbacks.
They're nothing special. You don't have much of a passing game otherwise. You've got Ramondre Stevenson for your run game, but that's, not where the NFL is right now. And their defense is
you got a Hunter
average.
Henry. You got a Hunter Henry, but does that excite me? If I'm D-Hop, no. Because they lost Jonnu Smith, who I thought was a more explosive type player.
I just don't for him and his situation, if he goes to the Titans or New England, it will just purely be a money thing. But I think that he's going to be able to get decent to adequate money on a much more competitive team somewhere. There's still opportunities out there for him, like your Cleveland team.
Yeah, and I still think that is a very good possibility that he ends up here in Cleveland. Now, I don't know if there's been any conversations whatsoever. I'm sure Deshaun has talked to D-Hop a little bit. They are, by all accounts, pretty good friends still. So I'm sure there's been some conversations. And the Browns have some of the most cap space available. Now, will they use that? I don't think so. I don't think they will use all of that because what was the report? 15 million, 1 year, 15 million is what he's looking for, somewhere in that range.
Possibly, yeah.
Now, if the Titans really want him, I think they'll match. I think they'll give him what he wants. I think the Patriots could give him that as well. Do I know that he's worth that right now? I don't. And I don't know that Cleveland would offer him 15 million a year, especially when we're paying Amari Cooper 20. I think that's too much money to devote to the wide receiver room. But if he wants to go and try to win a title, there's a lot of teams that will bring him in on a cheaper deal. You can go 6 to 8 mil, and fucking damn near anybody in the league who still has 6 to 8 mil will sign you for that because you can try to help them win a title. But if he goes to like a Titans or a Patriots, like you're saying, it's a money thing. Nothing wrong with that. Get your fucking bag. Get as much goddamn money as you can. If we learned anything from the Live PGA Tour fucking merger, when money comes knocking at your goddamn door, you open the door and you take that fucking bag of money. But I don't know if it doesn't make sense to me fit wise, football wise.
Yeah, and that's why I think you see a lot of the media stuff going, oh, he's at the Titans. They're doing a big push. They're doing a great show for him. Now he's in New England. Oh, it seems like this could actually work out. It's because he's there. It's because it's what's currently happening. It's because we are in the middle of a dry spell of news. They're going to push whatever they can. The next place that he goes to, you're going to see the same thing. Oh, he perfect fit. He loves it there. Great contract offer. They're really wooing him. You're going to keep on seeing that. It's just part of him going around and being wooed by teams right now. And he's not in any sort of a rush to sign with any of these places because he doesn't want to have to go to any of those mandatory camps.
I'm not going to fucking camp. Fuck no. If I'm DeAndre Hopkins, there's not a chance I'm fucking showing up to camp.
Send me a playbook with the 6 or 7 routes I'm going to have to know.
Yeah, just send me the fucking route tree. Send me your fucking route tree.
Yeah.
That's all I got to know. I'll figure out the rest of the shit in the call. The calls are pretty goddamn simple for me as a receiver. If I'm the quarterback or the line and I got to understand a lot more things, sure, I need some time to be in the system and learn that shit. And no disrespect to wide receivers. They don't have to fucking know what everybody else is doing. They have to know what the fuck they're doing. And that is it. And maybe once you get a little more in depth.
Yeah, I don't want to denigrate receivers or professional football players.
I'm not trying to do that.
I bet you the best out there probably know what every person on that offense is doing.
100%. But that is not a requirement to play effective receiver in the NFL.
Yeah.
You can be just a really good athlete and know your fucking route and go win your route.
Absolutely.
Nothing against receivers. I am not trying to say that receivers are not smart football players. I'm sure there are a lot of them that are very smart. I used to listen to Andrew Hawkins and Joe Thomas. They had a podcast. He is super fucking football smart, but he's just always been super football smart, and he just happened to be a wide receiver. I don't think being a wide receiver makes you extra football smart.
Yeah.
So, because you don't have to be. You just fucking run your route tree.
Absolutely. So some other news going on. The Brownies got a new logo. How do you feel about that?
I'm a little torn. I don't dislike the logo. I don't love the logo. When the two it came down to, that is the one I would have picked. I don't necessarily know that we needed a massive change. However, there are friends of this show, Nick Carnes and those guys over at Network 216. I don't know for sure, but I think they know the guy that created the new logo. I believe it was a fan-created logo.
Yeah, the competition came down to a team-created logo and a fan-created logo, and then they basically made it a vote from the fans. Which logo do you want? And it was the fan that won.
The fan-created logo, and those guys over at Network 216, I think they know the guy or maybe had a hand in some of what was happening there. So I'm pumped for those guys that we know that were able to have their logo selected. I think it's great. It's so fucking large and so blocky. I prefer the brownie logo. I prefer The elf. I prefer the elf for my secondary logo over the dog stuff for my secondary logo. I will just take Browns or a helmet, and then I will take Brownie the elf, and then I would go dog. Dog being my third choice for the logo choice. Definitely going Brownie the elf second. Possibly even first, because I think that's one of the best secondary logos in all of professional sports.
Does most of Cleveland?
I don't think most.
Agree?
I don't believe most of Cleveland agrees with that.
Yeah,
that is how I feel, though.
They're going to be doing a second vote here because Brownie is in the middle of the field still, I believe, and they're going to be doing another vote here at some point in time in order to decide does he stay or does he go.
He should stay. I think he should stay. I think it gave a really cool look to the stadium, especially being in there as often as I was fucking in that stadium this last year, and I will be in there again this next year. I think it's a really, really cool fucking thing, cool logo. It is, you don't necessarily ever even think of or look at the center logo. When is the last time you remember being like, oh man, look at the logo in the center of that field? It's like the Dallas Cowboys, right?
This is a star.
This is a star, right? But that's the one that kind of pops to your mind. Because do you ever really even think about the center logo? I don't, but I did when Brownie popped up there. Because it's so outlandish. It pops so well against the green fucking grass and in that stadium with all the orange. Like, it just fits. So I love the fact that it is there. I hope it stays. I don't know that all Browns fans feel the same way that I do, though.
Yeah. It is a little bit of a polarizing logo. Or at least I understand why it would be. As far as my thoughts on the new logo, I like it. I actually liked parts and pieces of each of the two options, and I would have liked to have seen a meld of those two. But overall, I'm not against the logo. I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. I don't dislike the logo at all. I didn't see the reason to make the update, but fucking cool. We got a new one. I will probably have some sort of gear in the near future with that logo on it.
I do like the fan involvement aspect of it too. It's nice.
So that is one thing that the Browns have done a great job of recently, is involving the fans to make them have a little, because we have been so maligned by the fan base for so long, because we have sucked for so fucking long, that, you know what? The fact that we continue to still go out and support the team and go to every goddamn game, that we never have a problem with doing sellouts unless the weather is literally possibly going to kill you. There's never a problem with attendance or anything like that. So for the ownership to be like, hey, let's involve the fans, I think is a really cool thing, and helps kind of endear the ownership group and the front office and all the people who are making those decisions to the fans. So that is a brilliant idea, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's something that it creates an ownership in your team. If you're a fan, that's one thing, but if you feel like it is your team, the Packers do this with selling stakes of their team, or whatever, even if it's just a money grab.
This is such a fucking money grab, but
pay attention. New ownership in Washington. Pay attention. Get your fans involved. They do not like the Commanders stuff. A lot of them wanted to go back to their previous shit. A lot of them wanted to stay as the Washington football team.
Football team. They would have been fine with football team.
It is. We've said the Washington football team, the Commanders.
It's a better name than Commanders.
They need to change their name. They don't have the copyright. New ownership, come in and let your fan base be directly involved with selection of your new logo, your new team name. Let them have an ownership in this team along with you, and you will get a lot of fans coming to your side.
Now, do we worry about McFootball-y team being the new name of the Washington Commanders if they do a strictly fan vote? Like
I don't think it'll be strictly fan vote, because you've got it. They still have to do some of the same stuff where they
copyright
have to get copyrights. If they're smart, they will do like 8 names or something like that.
Put it in a fucking bracket and then start just going to town on this. Yes. That's a whole social media push. And then once you finally declare the champion, the new name, the new winner, the logo, the fucking fan base is going to be so behind it. They're going to buy so much fucking gear, because You had a part in selecting that name. That is ownership of your team, and people will buy the fuck out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, logos aside and everything, there's not a whole lot else that was happening in the NFL. We've had some mandatory camps, no real major injuries going on. Dalvin Cook is still not signed. Saquon Barkley and God, I can't think of his name now. The running back out in Vegas, they are not
Josh
reporting to
Jacobs.
camp. Josh Jacobs, yet they're holding out. Running back market seems almost like it is not great right now.
Dude, if I'm a running back and I'm on a fucking franchise tag, there's not a chance in hell I am signing my franchise tag, and there is no fucking way I'm showing up to camp. Have you seen the fucking running back market? I don't give a fuck if we got a new playbook. I don't give a shit what is happening. The market is terrible. You put me on a franchise tag, you are going to have to pay me. I am not working 1 red cent more than I fucking have to. Not a chance in hell. I do not blame them. And I know there's going to be some football fans. It looks like you don't necessarily agree with that either. But man, in that market, why would you even think about signing and being forced into mandatory minicamp? And if you don't go, they fine you and take away the money. That fucking makes no sense.
I mean, I don't think the running back market is as bad as you're making it out to be. I think that teams are showing year in, year out that you can get by with 2-3 guys that are lower end players and get as much production as you are getting from the one guy at a much discounted rate. The Vikings are moving in that direction right now, and I'm happy to see it. Even though I love Dalvin Cook and I love to have him on the team, like his production just isn't worth the 12 to 14 mil that he was going to be getting, and apparently is still going to be wanting on his next contract here. Saquon Barkley had a phenomenal year last year. He can be one of the best running backs in the NFL. He hasn't done it consistently due to injury. And how are you supposed to give a guy more than the $10 million a year and a lot of it guaranteed?
I don't disagree with what you're saying. I do not disagree with that at all.
So if you have
why sign and have to show up to camp?
Well,
we lost
money.
you.
God damn
Lost
it.
your video. Good thing we did a little troubleshooting beforehand. Oh, there you go. So we're on your laptop now.
Yeah. We're gonna just
yeah. There we go. We're back.
It sucks for running backs. I almost think that the running backs, and I heard this brought up somewhere, I feel like running backs need their own separate CBA when it comes to like contracts or something like that, where they get drafted. And when you draft a running back, you basically are guaranteeing them more money than you would other players because they are just so dime a dozen right now. The guys have a shorter lifespan than pretty much any other NFL position. They get the ball so many times that the wear and tear on their bodies just degrades them so much more. And because of that, their value is going down. It is tough to get a really strong running back contract. And 9 times out of 10, when a running back does get a second contract, that's a big one, it is usually seen as a failure of a signing. You might get a year or two good production out of him on like a 5-year deal, but then by the end of it, you're going to be saying, why are we paying this guy that much? And for me, I see it with Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook has the possibility of being a top 10, top 5 running back in the league if he stays healthy, but he doesn't consistently stay healthy. You are able to get the same production out of 2 to 3 guys that you would out of a Dalvin Cook for a quarter of the price. It's just an economic thing at that point for teams to go ahead and move to more of a platoon or a cheap younger guy. And so these running backs that are on that franchise tag, which is roughly around 10, 11 million, something like that. It's like 10.9 or something. Mm-hmm. It sucks because it's only 1 year that they're getting that contract.
Yeah, but you're not going to get more than 10.9 over probably over 2, maybe 3, depending on the quality of running back you are.
I think that
in the current market
is worth 8 to 10 mil a year currently.
But for how many years?
The team isn't 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, that's not long term security. And that's another reason if I'm a running back, I'm not signing my franchise tag and coming to camp. I'm not putting more wear and tear on my body at camp. I will work out on my own outside of camp, and I'll fucking see you guys when I get there. Once it basically becomes required that I sign that motherfucker or I sit out, I'll sign that bitch and I'll see you then.
Yeah. So there's that issue right now with some of those running backs not reporting to camp, and of course Dalvin Cook still being a free agent and not really having a whole lot of suitors coming out now. It seems like we also have a potential issue of some sort brewing with Stephon Diggs up in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs, again, a guy who is real near and dear to my heart because of the Minneapolis Miracle. He's been a diva, man. He's been a diva in Minnesota. We knew that is a typical thing with wide receivers. He divaed his way out of Minnesota, which turned out to give us a pick where we used to get Justin Jefferson. I think that's an upgrade because Justin Jefferson doesn't seem to be that sort of a diva. Cool. But Stephon Diggs, year in and year out, when the Bills don't make it to the Super Bowl or whatever team doesn't make a deep run in the playoffs, he seems to kind of get that whininess to him, that little bit of diva. I don't know if it's he just wants the ball more or he doesn't think the team is making the right moves in the offseason. I don't know, but he should not be doing this right now because he's on a damn good team with a damn good quarterback. He should be happy to be there because this Buffalo Bills team has a chance this year, last year, the year before of making that deep playoff run and possibly being a Super Bowl contender.
As long as Josh Allen's there, I think they do.
Yeah. And whatever sort of consternation he has going on right now where he's shown up to facilities, but he's not participated in workouts and things like that. And it's causing the coaches to be like, we're a little bit concerned about this. You know, McDermott made that public statement where I'm concerned about him not being out here. Why is it got to be like, obviously there's some sort of disconnect between him and the team right now. And I don't think it's that he's not being compensated well. I don't think that it's that he's on a bad team. I think that he's probably happy with his quarterback. So what's the issue? Why not? Like, if you don't want to practice or something like that, you can probably work something out with the team to be like, hey, I'm just doing some light conditioning and stuff like that. But like,
I would imagine that there is some sort of workout bonus in his contract. It has to be at mandatory mini. It has to be at mini camps and doesn't necessarily want to be there because I believe he's still a top 5 wide receiver contract, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he is, but he's also not super far into his new deal. I believe he's only 2 years into his new deal, which was a 5-year deal. So, and I was talking about this with Grant the other day. He's like, why is Stephon Diggs like complaining about his money? Like, if I was making millions of dollars a year, I'm not going to complain at all. And I understand that viewpoint. I understand that's a viewpoint for a lot of people in the United States. They're making 10 million, 12, 15, however many fucking $1 million a year. Shut your mouth and just go play. But I always ask this. If you were at your job and you were one of the very best at your job and you were not being paid like one of the very best at your job, would that upset you? Doesn't matter how long you've been there, but if you were one of the best, would you not want more? So I can understand if it's a money issue, but also if it's only a year or 2 into the new deal, I also don't like that. You have got to do probably at least half of that deal to prove that my production is better than the deal I've been given. So give me more fucking money.
Yeah, it is. I'm looking at his contract right now. He does have including this year, 5 more years left on his deal. Yeah, so he's age 30 right now. Now his base salary this year is only $1.16 million with a $4.3 million signing bonus.
That's where
the cap hit is $14 million, but he is only this year really earning about $5 to $6 million. Now next year that jumps back up to 18.5 million base salary with a 4.3 signing bonus. It's 4.3 mil signing bonus for the rest of this contract. The earliest out for the Bills is 2025 when he turns 32. But maybe that's part of the issue is he's looking for a little
like
bit
when
more
you're
money
talking about
this
one
year.
of the top 5 receivers in the league, potentially one of the top 5 receivers in the league, and he's being paid 1 point whatever in base. That's probably a tough pill to swallow, especially when you keep getting knocked out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
I can understand a little bit, but at the same time, show me at least, well, he's been in what? This is his 3rd year in Buffalo coming up?
Should be, yes.
So that extension that he got was for what, 6 years,
It was
Uh,
4-year, $96 million, signing bonus of $21.5 million, and an average annual salary of $24 million. He had
how is he only getting
47.9.
fucking 1.4 in base this year then?
They've probably restructured stuff and moved things around to push it towards the back end of the contract, because looking at the next couple of years, next year, $27 million cap hit. The year after that, $27 million, $28 million, $22 million. So they've pushed a lot of this money
They
towards the back end of the
backloaded
contract.
him
Yes. Now
when he's hitting his twilight years.
he did have the 47.9 million guaranteed at signing. So of that $96 million deal,
Got half.
more than half of it was guaranteed, which is pretty damn good for his contract. It's just he already got all that money. When the money's guaranteed, they basically get that up front. They put the yearly signing bonus and stuff like that. That's all just for making the cap work.
Right.
But the players get that guaranteed money up front, essentially. He's probably looking for a little bit more money
Now, I think he would need. He wants more money now. Like when you're talking about a base of 1.4 or 1 point whatever it was, like you're like, listen, I have all of this money on the other side of my contract. It's probably a little bit of a worry for him. And am I going to make it to age 35 on the back half of this contract where I'm looking at 27, 28, $30 million?
Yeah.
Or are you guys going to fucking cut me after 2025 and I'm leaving $52 million on the fucking table?
Yeah, the cap hits after 2025. I mean, even starting at 2025, when he's going to be 32 years old, that's when we can start to see receivers start to decline. Those are pretty high numbers for a player that could be starting to see more towards the end of their career.
Yeah, and I think he probably wants some of that money at the back pushed up.
Yeah.
He's not holding out. He's at camp. They can't find him. He's doing a hold in, I guess? Because we've seen this happen the last couple of years. Start to be more prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but something to watch there for Buffalo Bills fans. I think that this is just more of the same. I mean, again, I'm used to it from when he was in Minnesota. We would hear he'd put weird little tweets out and stuff like that, and we'd be like, what's going on with Stephon Diggs?
Yeah, Stephon Diggs is like one of the kings of the subtweet.
And then it comes to the season, and he will be playing, and he'll be fine. Now, expect this, Bills fan. If you guys don't go and win the Super Bowl, he's going to do this again at the end of the year. It's just going to be a recurring thing where he gets whiny. He's like, why aren't we winning? And I get it. You're upset that you didn't win, but it seems like a little bit more childish to be doing that. It's just part of the diva mentality. It's part of what you got when you traded for Stephon Diggs. And that's okay, because as long as he's still productive on the field, it's all good.
He's a supreme talent, so you're going to have to take a little bit of the bad with the good.
Yeah.
So.
And other than that, there's really not a whole lot of news, at least in professional football. We have the little one, which I don't really personally want to spend a lot of time on, but Antonio Brown's team, the Auburn has been kicked out of the Arena Football League for not paying their mandated and overdue league assessment fees. They're not paying their money. They get kicked out of the league. Antonio Brown, it's another failure for this guy.
The fall from grace that has happened for Antonio Brown is like, it's on the like epic tragic level from where he was to where he is currently at. It's kind of sad to see. Like, honestly, I was never a big Antonio Brown guy. Obviously, I had some resentment towards Antonio Brown as being a Steeler and kicking the shit out of my Browns for so many years. But I don't necessarily, I don't know that I ever wished him bad fortune. I didn't want anything bad to happen to him. But to go from probably the greatest receiver of the last, decade? Because his prime was bonkers. He might have the best prime of any receiver since Randy Moss. Because he was that good, like 5-6 straight years. You penciled him in for 1,200 yards, 10 tuds, and fucking 100 catches. That's how good he was. You knew he was going to be that good, and it has fallen down so far from there. He cannot, I don't know if he cannot, but did not pay the fees that were due.
So The league dues, he paid the April one late, and then he ended up getting $1,000 fine for conduct detrimental to the league. He didn't pay that $1,000 fine or the league dues, which I don't know how much the league dues are for May. And the league basically held an emergency meeting saying, we don't think he's basically made it clear he's not going to pay this stuff. So if we have a team that's just not going to be paying their dues, they're not going to be in the league.
And then that also, but it's not just Antonio Brown that this affects. You have guys that are still playing and living out their dream of playing football for a living, even if it's the Arena League. It doesn't matter. Like, if you're playing football for a living, I don't care how much you are or are not making, you're probably living out your dream, being able to do that.
Yep.
And this affects them now, too.
That's
super
the
sad.
League made this determination. Basically said, hey, we are kicking you out of the league unless you make the payment by noon Eastern time on Thursday. And they didn't pay. So the league canceled the team's Saturday home game against the Jacksonville Sharks and will adjust the rest of the calendar, but they are out immediately mid-season.
Yeah, and where do those players go?
I don't know.
Does a team say, hey, you know what? That player was really fucking good. Now he's not on a team. Let's go sign. Is he a free agent? What happens to his previous contract? There are so many other things that go into what is happening. And I don't think Antonio Brown knows or gives a fuck about any of it. He wanted to just go out there and be a face and own a team. Apparently he thought he was going to fucking play on said team.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. It is a very sad fall from grace because it has fucking happened rapidly. And it is, I thought we were at rock bottom like fucking 12 to 18 months ago. But I don't think we're there yet. It's bad. Somebody needs to go and wrap their arms around fucking AB and be like, dude, what the fuck is going on?
I don't know, man. I think it all goes back to that Vontae's perfect hit, which seems to really knock the screws loose. I know that's been talked about a lot, but
like it's sad. Like that is, but it's a real thing. Like when you take too many hits, man. All right. Well, I got nothing else on Antonio Brown. Hopefully those guys that are on that team figure out a way to continue to do what they love and play football and get paid to do so. Even if it is the Arena League. And then I hope Antonio Brown figures out what the fuck's going on with his life and or at least stops fucking up other people's lives.
Yeah.
That's the least I can ask for is stop fucking up other people's lives.
Absolutely.
So,
all right, man. Well, you got anything else for today's show?
I don't, man. I am I'm gonna get out of here. I actually don't have shit to do. It's fucking Father's Day. I'm going to relax. I'm going to drink a couple beers, might play some video games. I'm going to be talking with you and our boy. $20 is $20 here after a little bit. But yeah, man, good show. Pumped to be here. I'm excited to see the way your new room looks. Love the NASA shirt, and I appreciate all the work that you did for today's show.
All righty, brother. Well, hopefully we'll be up and running at least by next week. I'm going to be working on it today. So, yeah, good show. And we'll be back next week.
All right. Yes, we certainly will. Guys, this is the Lineman Lounge. I am Mike. That is Evo. If you want to listen to us, go to any podcast platform. You can find us there. If you want to watch us while we bullshit and use this dumbass conjecture from two dummy thick idiots, go to YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. That way you get the notifications every time that we go live. If you want to interact with the show, head to Facebook. We have a group and a page. The group is always going ape shit. We are one member away from 500 on the Facebook group. So let's get that 500 member here in the near future. Go to Twitter at Lineman Lounge. Interact with us there. You can see me constantly bitching about the Guardians on the Twitter. Every once in a while, I'll just go ahead and pop off with some random shit, though. You got TikTok, Instagram, all the social medias. We are there. There is new content coming out all the time, and there will be more things coming out in the future. I cannot wait to get all the things that we are working on done and share that with you guys. But we thank you. We appreciate you. Anytime you spend time with us, we cannot thank you enough for that. We'll see you next week. See you.